call file work, we have to take the rough edge off of the knife and make it to where it's smooth. And we do that strictly with using a file. We take the file and we literally go through and literally file this thing. And we spend probably 35 minutes or so, 40 minutes, better part of at least over half an hour. And it takes to do the file work on this to get the thing edged out so that it's smooth to the touch and to the feel. And then I sand it down. Let me show you the sanding process that's taking place. And the grits that we use. This is the sanding process, and this is the finished part of the knife work. When we get through, we're actually going to show you the polishing of it, and I think you're going to be surprised. You can see how this is right now. It doesn't have a shine to it, but when I get through with it, and you'll see it on the video, you'll see this really shiny. But to get to that point, we go through 80 grit, 100 grit, 150 grit, 220 grit, 320 grit, and lastly 400 grit. And we go through all that staging of that particular sandpaper, and we're not finished yet. What we have to do then is go through what we call micro mesh sanding. And this is a set of sponge covered sandpaper, if you will. And there is 9 steps to this. And it goes all the way from 1500 grit to 12,000 grit. Once you've got through steps, so the sanding part is the time consuming. If you think that's the boring part, then you're correct. But it has to be that way in order to get it smooth and to the look we're going to want. So let's now take this knife, and I've got another knife too the same way. And let's take this knife over to the buffer and polisher, and let's see how it takes us to go and get this looking pretty. The first step that we have is called, we use a 3-stage buffing process. This is the Triple process that we need this for. We put some Triple polish on it. We have a block of that. So we're going to turn the buffer on. This buffer is a slow buffer. It's not your normal 3500 grinder or spinner. This is 1750. It's called a slow grinder, bench grinder. So you put a little of this rouge on there, and then you actually go to work on this. Okay, that's the first stage of this. And the next stage is called white diamond. So we're going to take this buffing wheel off and put a buffing wheel, and we're going to use some polishing material called white diamond. And it too's got a piece of rouge that's on there, and then we're going to go through that process. Okay. Take usually a rag towel after that process and just hand buff it. Brother Fred, if you can zoom in on this. I've got one other stage, but there's, you can see how that good is. I'll put some light on it and look at the other side. Okay, now I'm going to put one more stage on it. I'm going to put wax on it. It's carnauba wax, which is going to basically seal it from the outside wax-wise. Now the stain that I use is also a sealant, so I only have a one process instead of two-step. That's one step: stain and seal and stain. This is just regular, good old carnauba wax. I do each side separately. And then I do the top and bottom. I use a really soft towel here. Okay. You got a good shot on that? That's the finished product. Now you can see all I have to do now is just remove the tape off the brass and off the blade itself, and I'll use some cleaner to clean that off, and then I usually put a coat of oil on it. And then all we're doing is waiting to, if I'm going to make this Masonic, then I'll just I'll dig or carve out, drill a spot here in the center of this handle and put one of our square and compass pins in it. If it's going to be for a friend who's not a Mason, then we'll just leave it like this. Or if they want another emblem, we can usually have several other emblems we can put into it. So if you want to see what the difference, now this is shiny, but it's not near as shiny. It's not been polished. This particular one I stained the same as this one. This is a different wood. This wood is African mahogany right here. Again, it's some of used knife pins that I had. This has got a beautiful mosaic square and circle brass pin with black epoxy centered. And I will be making this Masonic, I think. And then the next thing I'd have to do is to order a sheath from my sheath makers. And because of the color, I'll probably have this, I'll ask for a dark shade, which will go really pretty with this. This wood is an exotic called Padawak, and it also comes, some of it comes from Africa. There's other countries that have that. I'm not sure where this one particular piece of wood came from, but it's a beautiful exotic, got a lot of beautiful grain into it. Very, very pretty.
Okay, I think that we've gone through the steps, and that's how we make a knife at McBeth Knives.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for being here.